wait a bit.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome. As we are very new to this beautiful platform, I will ask you to say hello in the chat. Thank you, Thais. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Excellence Framework session. I'm Carol. I'm part of the global team, network development team, and I'll have the pleasure of hosting you today together with Maria, network development director. And yes, and to get it started, as we know that the other session is still finalizing, just a quick check-in. We are very serious. We have very serious topics today, very inspiring. So I'm gonna start maybe asking you if you can share what are you excellent in, personal level. Don't worry about a very big, very special thing that you are excellent in. I, for example, I do a pretty good hot dog sauce, and Maria can prove it. So kind of an excellent on it. So what are you excellent in? I'll ask you to add in the chat. Making coffee, Emma. I want to try it.
I
Who
made an
else?
excellent carrot cake, Carol, but the Brazilian version of it this weekend. I was so proud of it.
Oh wow, I love it, carrot cake. Love it eating. So am I. Tazuka, I'm with you. I'm great at eating, sleeping as well. Power napping. I love all the talents that we have.
Identified Bart, is that true, Maria? Oh, you were joking.
Oh, I believe you if you say so. Excellent in making great salads. Love it. Making lemon pie, Zoe. Love it. We have so many experts here today with us. Keep sharing what are you excellent in. And yeah, we have 41 people with us. I guess we can get it started with our agenda. I'm gonna share my screen. So just one
Carol,
second.
our guest speakers are not on the stage.
They don't need to be right now, Maria.
Okay.
They will be later on.
No talk.
We are in this very fancy new platform, as you all already have experienced. And then we can just invite people on the go for them to join us at the stage. So it's, yes, very fancy. So yes, welcome everybody. And then we're gonna talk about our excellence framework, about being excellent. So yes, thank you everybody who shared what you were excellent at. And maybe when we think about excellence, like, have you validate how excellent you are on this topic? Diving into our topic today. Did you check with other people? Do you have benchmarks? What are the standards? What make us excellence on the things that we do? And these questions comes to impact hubs as well, right? Among ourselves, what are you excelling in? And how can we tell people, can we tell externals about the amazing things we do as Impact Hubs? Because we do know that we are excellent in convening people, excellent in community building, on supporting entrepreneurs, on making impact. And if we ask to one member of ours, they will tell us we are excellent. But what about the people who don't know us? So, you know, so this is something that we are walking in that direction with the excellence framework. And we're going to talk more about it today. Let me just go to my next slide and share the agenda with you. So basically, welcome and check in, very brief one just for you to arrive in the room. And then we will dive into the excellence framework, who Maria will present to us today, because we do have this framework that has been developed during the whole year. Some of you might remember that during the global gathering, we start collecting some ideas in terms of what would be the indicators, what is excellence for us in the network. So there's a lot of work been doing throughout the year, and there's then this beautiful excellence framework that is still in the making. But Maria today will bring us an overview about what this is about. And then we're going to have a guest panel interview from two Impact Hubs who are excellent and always in search for excellence. We have Kayla from Impact Hub Caracas and Alberto and Natalie from Impact Hub Madrid. And they will share with us about how was their experience on becoming B Corp certified. So because it is indeed one certificate of excellence that they have in that sense, and they will share this journey with us and answer to some questions and also answer questions that you might have during the conversation. So basically, this is the agenda for today. We have only 1 hour together, so it's a short session, but let's make the most of it. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And with no more delays, I'll pass the word to you, Maria. Do you want me to continue sharing my screen, or
Yes,
do you prefer to share yours? Yes?
No, let's keep yours now. It's already there. So everybody, we are trying to be excellent and give you guys a different experience on this platform. What I'm enjoying a lot, but it's also first time that we're using it. So tomorrow we're going to be even more excellent on it. So what is the excellence framework? So we know that the performance in the network, it's a bit heterogeneous. We would wish that we had a more homogeneous experience and we would have a more homogeneous operations, but unfortunately doing like many different things, from impact hubs in situation in countries where there is conflict, to impact hubs in very high income countries, from impact hubs in countries where there's a collapse of economy, and so on and so forth. It makes it harder. Also, it makes harder because our business model, it's very adaptable for the local. We do have our non-negotiables around what should be part of Impact Hub business model, but we know that there is a lot of flexibility on the business lines that you can implement. There is the minimum, but there is flexibility. So we started with this. If some of you remember, last year we did a big diagnostic in the network because we want to understand where we were as a network and what was the difference between the impact hubs, and trying to understand more like what to do and how to support impact hubs so we could all be at a certain levels and have a more coherent kind of experience. And we did this big diagnostic. If you haven't seen it, we do have like our 360 kind of dashboard where you can look at it. And what happened after that is that we thought that we need something else, that just that was not enough, that we had to put a step further. And then the step further was the concept of the creation of this excellence framework. And the idea is that we create a way also to incentivize impact hubs to become better in what they do, instead of actually just working with like, oh, you need to comply with this, you need to comply with that, but also come from the perspective that people could kind of like, okay, aim to be something excellence, aim to go to the next level, and so on and so forth. So then we started with this concept. Carol, you can pass to the next slide. And with the main objective is to provide guidance and allows for comparison and comparative analysis and benchmark between the impact hubs. That is something as well that people keep asking us for. Is like, okay, how am I doing in relation to that business? Or also some numbers that help you to create a better business in your local level. It's like, okay, how much per square meter is better, and so on and so forth. We also want to create like a health sense of competition, but also transparency, right? So people can understand in which context people are and how can we actually share more of the data. And today we already mentioned a lot about the importance of data and so on. And we want to make sure that there is more transparency what we're doing, and also help for decision making in terms of, oh, shall I do this? Shall I do that? And data is always a good thing. So if we actually have a better data analysis and things, people could actually see it and compare. And also to have a validation and create a tool for comparison and a business intelligence for that. You can pass on, Carol. So to achieve such objectives, there is two initiatives that we are proposing. Establish a global impact excellence framework as a standard and implement this business intelligence kind of solution that is, of course, on the back of our data strategy and so on. That is more a kind of next steps. Next, Carol. And then the ambitions for a thriving Impact Hub network. So one is to look at Impact Hub as an enterprise. So ensure that Impact Hubs are health business, they are sustainable, that they actually walk the talk, that they are good employees, that they follow like certain standards, that they are looking to their community and so on. And then and especially like that they are also sustainable financially, so that we are good in health social business. And then the other thing, it's related to so there's three areas, right? It's related to our Impact Hub DNA. So in making sure that we also have a way of measuring how we engage with our community, how if our community is meaningful, if our community is big enough for the city that we are, if our spaces are inspiring, and so on and so forth. And then the third one is our DEI and climate action. So we want to making sure that the network it's walking the talk on the ambitions that we set up for ourselves, because we said we want to become a net zero and we want to be a diverse and inclusive network, and we set up some goals for that, and we want to make sure that we, as aiming for excellence, this is part of it. Next. So the idea for this excellence framework, we're going to have an external benchmark and then an internal benchmark. So the external benchmark is also to help us to compare with other social business in the market, and use some of the frameworks that are already there that people also recognize, and help us also to get external recognition of being a social business, of being like a good business, and so on and so forth. And having also some kind of internal benchmark that was related to like our Impact Hub DNA, our business health, network engagement, and governance, and some of our internal operations thing. Next. So as I mentioned, so by adapting the external benchmark requirements, we ensure that all Impact Hubs are actually measuring their social environment impact, that they are working together to be like a leading social entrepreneurs, they're walking the talk in sustainability, and they are recognized by this. I think that's also very important to have that external validation. So we are looking in two frameworks right now. So one is the B Corp, right? Because you don't need to be a B Corp certified. You can just do the assessment for it. And also the SBTi certification that is basically by UN and now is being recognized by the European Union as well as one of the tools for CSRD. So I know I'm talking a lot of, how can I say, acronyms, but this is all related to like external validation for our business in terms of like being environmental led business and inclusive business and good business in terms of like treating employees with the rights and stuff. Next. I think that continue to talk about this. Also, the other advantage of using external validation is that we don't need to create our own. If we have to create our own to incorporate all those metrics, that would take forever, and it's complicated and requires technology and so on and so forth. And in this case, we can just use something that's there and recognized by the market. Next. And the internal benchmark, as already said, is more connected to the things that we want to measure in terms of the size of your community space, how you're operating that, the programs, the business health, and more important for us also network and network engagement and giving back to the network and contribute to the business of the network and indicators on that. As Carol said, during the global gathering, we did ask the entire network for what they think would be those indicators and what should be for different areas, and we collect all of this and we put in a framework, and pretty soon we would be releasing it to the network for you guys to start to get used to it. We are also dividing Impact Hubs in 3 different phases. So startup, growth phase, and thriving. So you can place your Impact Hub where it is, and you can have like indicators for each phase. And the idea is that you're moving phases and you get more motivated to move to another phase, and there is some advantage, and we create like a mechanism of like reward inside of the network for moving from one level to another level. I think this is it, Carol. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Maria. And thank you for sharing, Christine, to reply in regards to the UN report. I will ask for questions to Maria. We're gonna have times to questions in the end. We can move to the panel right now, but do leave your questions right now in the Q&A or in the chat, and we're gonna go back to that later on, if that's okay. Yeah. All right. And now introducing our panel interview, I want to invite to the stage, very fancy. So Christine, our tech host, please help me to invite to the stage Kayla, General Manager at Impact Hub Caracas, Natalie, Communications and Content Director in Impact Hub Madrid, and Alberto, co-founders and Head of Public Affairs in Impact Hub Madrid, to join us on the stage so we can start our panel. I will stop sharing my screen now, just 1 second, so we can all see each other, everybody on the stage. Yes. And my very first question, and just so everybody understands the dynamic, we do have some questions, of course, but you can also contribute with questions. So add your questions to the chat and we can bring them later on. The very first question is for understand who you are in terms of who are your impact hubs, right? So just sharing a little bit of an introduction. So I'll invite you as first question to answer, what is your impact hub excellent at? So you can share a little bit of your journey and your expertise so far, just as an intro, and of course introduce yourselves as well. So whoever wants to start, please go ahead and unmute yourself and you can go first.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kayla Figueira, General Manager from Impact Hub Caracas, and thank you, Carol and Maria, for this invitation and for sharing our experience in Impact Hub Caracas. This year, Impact Hub Caracas is celebrating the 10th anniversary, 10 years of making a difference in the life and entrepreneurs and practicing through our community and programs. We start with only 30 members in 2014, and today we are proud to have an impact over 1,500 people, include members and participants in our programs. Of course, we achieved the B Corp certification 2 years ago. Over the years, we have worked hard to create valuable opportunities for our members, provide space for connection, collaboration, and learning. We are also leaders in development social programs that help reduce the gender gap and provide education and opportunities to the vulnerable communities. Some of our key programs include Technovation Girls, which has now run more than 7 editions. This program empowers girls from underserved areas to tackle local problems by designing apps and learning about technology. Another important program is Jóvenes que Impactan, has reached over 40,000 children, teaching them about human rights and the prevention of the gender-based violence. As we celebrate this milestone, we are more commitment than ever to our mission and create positive triple impact and supporting the growth of the future leaders in Venezuela. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kayla. And maybe just one note before passing the word to Alberto and Natalie is that Impact Hub Caracas is applying with the DEI innovation. So you all, everybody who's watching this session, receive an email for you to check it out, the innovations in DEI from the network. We have great applications, and Jóvenes que Impactan, Impact Hub Caracas program is one of them. So check it out. I want to know more about it. And now back to our panel. Alberto, Natalie, what is Impact Hub Madrid excellent in? And yeah, share a little bit about where you are at the moment as Impact Hub?
Well, so first of all, very happy to be here with you all. I love Maker Festival, and it's been great till now. And yeah, well, I have to say, like, I started up in the Impact Hub network through Impact Hub Donostia, where I am a shareholder over there. Then I co-founded Impact Hub Barcelona, where I am right now. And now I'm working at Impact Hub Madrid with Natalie in public alliances and public administration selling. To me, it doesn't matter how big you are as an Impact Hub or where are you located. Excellence is a thing we should all be able to achieve in a very smart way, because it demonstrates the way we are and we execute. You know, like, well, I don't know. I think it's a tricky thing, like, we should all speak about. Yeah.
Thank you, Roberto. Natalie, anything you want to add?
Yes, hello, I'm Natalie. I've been with Impact Hub Madrid since 2019, so this is starting my 6th year here. I'm in the communication area. I think the excellence is how Alberto put it is very nice. Doesn't matter your size, you have to pursue it, because we all start from a different place. So it is important to acknowledge that we all start from different places, and the key components are, yes, we aim for higher standards, but we have to measure. So measuring is the key component. It's going to tell us where we are and what can be ambition. At Impact Hub Madrid, for some things we are big. We have spaces, we manage huge programs, but what we care more is about the impact that we can make and measure for each one of the people that comes through our doors or takes part of our programs. So that's excellence for me from Impact Hub Madrid.
Thank you so much. And then already then diving into the topic about the B Corp certification. The first question is about motivation. What have motivated you to aim for the certification? Also from a business perspective, what was the motivation behind it? So would love to hear from each one of you in that sense. Maybe starting from Impact Hub Madrid, then, as you had the word, you can continue.
We started the certification process in 2018, and it took us 18 months to get there. And the first thing is we needed to measure what we do. We wanted to be able to compare what we did with what others did. And in the process, we learned a lot. For example, and I'm sure it will happen with every hub, we learned that things that we didn't know that they were could be measured as a positive impact of what we are doing. As I think we all know, B Corp has 5 areas: governance, workers, clients, environment, and the community. And the toughest part was governance. The toughest part to understand and to align, and each year it has been the toughest part. It made sense in the first years. It made sense, as I said, because we were recycling, but we didn't have the process. So it helped us draw and design and draw the processes to do the things that we wanted to do and then make the positive impact. So it gave us order, a lot of order, not order in a sense of a serial killer order, but necessary order to manage healthy management of the hub. From a business perspective, it has business grown since we are B Corp? Well, it does. It gives us trust. People trust us. People who don't know us trust us. Other B Corps come and make business with us. We look to other businesses to also, because it is a sign we recognize each other. Oh, you're B Corp. Yes, I am B Corp. So it's like a sign of recognition. The same that happens with all the hubs in the network. Oh, that's one of the things.
Thank you, Natalie. Alberto, do you want to add anything from Madrid's side in terms of motivation?
Yes, this thing that Natalie said, just to belong to a community of companies. It is, to me, B Corp it is a certification, and it's good because you have to measure and then you get a metric. But overall, it's a movement. It's a movement. It's a community of companies that are going towards impact. So this is great also, just to count with others that are like you know, and it's just a standard that becomes a movement. So this is what I like the most.
Thank you. Kayla, in Caracas, what has motivated you to get a B Corp certified? You are on mute, Kayla. Here in your screen, in the bottom?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry. Well, for InpaHub Caracas, we want to get the CARB certification to show our commitment to social and financial and environmental responsibility. This certification helps build our credibility and trust with the members, partners, and customers. I think it fits perfectly with our core values for sustainability, community involvement, and making a positive triple impact. And believe from the business perspective, B Corp certification brings several benefits. Being a B Corp helps us find partners who share our goals for social and environment responsibilities. And a certificate B Corp will stand out from the competition, attracting customers and business that care about ethical practice. Finally, the certification gives us access to a large network of over, I think, 80,000 B Corps in more than 150 countries. And this opens more opportunities for collaboration, sharing knowledge, and building research.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I know that it might sound that we are promoting the B Corp certification or it's a session. No, they are not paying us for that. It's just because we were thinking about, Maria and I, when designing this session, what ways can we showcase the search for excellence, right, in a very practical way? And then the external certification is also very much aligned with the strategy, the excellence strategy that is being developed internally. So that's why, but of course it speaks for itself, as you can hear from them, that it's about finding this network of other organizations. It's a movement, right? So we actually, through those certifications, we are amplifying our impact and our reach as a network by connecting with other networks or other movements as well. And my next question, it's very much connected with what you said, Natalie, before, that it was hard, especially in regards to governance. So about the process, what the changes you needed to implement did you have to implement any changes during the process? How was it? What were the hardest changes that you needed to do to get the certificate in the end?
Yeah, as you said before, we are not promoting it. It's very good to have it. It is hard. It's long, and I think it changed us. As I said first, it made us realize things that we did and we could do it better. And then things that we could do and it's not in our power. And let me explain that. B Corp has a top mark of 200 points. And if you get 80 points, you can go and get certified. We are now around 85 and we are aiming for our rare certification. And we have been working for more than 6 months trying to achieve more points, and we have 126 points now from our account, and they are shaving all the points that we think that we had. Because maybe we don't have the right evidence to prove what we claim. If we say that we do have a DEI policy, we have to give all the evidence that is going on, and also you have to have the evidence. It's not only, as you said before, it's not only walk the talk, but talk the talk, but walk the talk. You have to have all the evidence. We in our governance we have a directive committee which is has parity, women and men. We are a very feminine company, but in our board of directors it is not, and we have not achieved that parity, and it's not in our hand, in our decision, and we just report that we don't have it, so that shaves us points. So there are things, what I'm trying to explain, there are things that are under your control and you can do it, and there are things that are not, and that doesn't make you less B Corp or a less socially responsible company. So it's easy to get frustrated, and I think part of the process is trust in the things that you're discovering and the positive impact that you're making, and have the documents to prove it.
I think, can I just add, because I think that's where excellence comes in, right? So sometimes we also believe we are doing like really cool things, but actually they are not being effective, or we are not measuring them, and so on. So I think that that process, no matter which certification it is, and we are talking about B Corp, and in the excellence framework, we've been thinking about the B impact assessment, right? You don't necessarily need to go for the certification, but then all of us can speak the same language and we could benchmark ourselves and also learn from each other, right? Because when you say, and I feel like when we look at it, for instance, our DEI things, we've been mapping and stuff, but then when you have those, and we did a lot of work looking at those indicators, it's like, oh, I actually need to do something about this. It's like on my to-do list stuff, like, okay, next time then I'm going to do something if I want to continue advance and continue to be excellence and stuff, so I need to work on that. And I think that goes for our environment as well, right? So for our environment strategy and so on, so it's not only about mapping our carbon emissions, but it's also putting the targets and use science-based targets and so on. So I feel that that is that tweak of like measuring and really having to kind of like think about all of that, that I think it makes you want to do as well, like, and be better, right? So then, and it's actually, if I achieve 8 points this year, maybe next year I want to be 100, and then how I could continue to improve the operation. So yeah, so I think for some of the things that we want to do in terms of network, or we aim to do, or we set ourselves to do, having those kind of external, because I remember about this conversation, it's who decides what is excellence for our network? Because that's the first question that I had for myself, is like, okay, how am I going to decide that having 100 members is excellence? Is that excellence? Who decides that, right? So what is actually a community engagement good practice? So then we start looking, of course we consult the network and we have what the network said, but it's also really good look at others are doing. And also sometimes we think we're actually better than others, but actually some people are doing like really cool job as well in terms of like community engagement and so on and so forth. So I just want to add that I think for some of our ambitions and things that we want to do and we put ourselves to do, having that external validation is quite important.
Thank you so much for that, Maria and Natalie. And I think this comment, right, about always walking, always progressing, it's excellence. Yes, it's something that it's achievable, right? But it's always changing. It's about the bar is raising all the time because the context, the scenario is changing all the time. So also the standards and what we're looking for is also changing. What is better for the community? What is better for impact hubs as organizations, for the movement? So it changes, and we need to adapt to that and continue evolving in that direction, right? But Kayla, what about Caracas? How was the process in that sense of changes that you needed to implement, considering the main pillars to get the B Corp certified?
Yes, in the case of Impact Hub Caracas, we made several important changes. We updated our governance structure to ensure the purpose and legal rules and ethics are aligned to the commitment to making the positive triple impact. We improve our environmental efforts by adopting sustainable practice. This includes, for example, reduce, of course, the waste and banning the plastic. We also introduce policies for sustainability and gender equality with our suppliers. We also focus on improving our employees' well-being, include offering better benefits and give the makers more ways to share their feedback and make their workplace more inclusive, no? and supportive. Finally, we set up strong metrics to evaluate our social and environment impact, and this includes regular assessments and reporting to track our progress and find areas where we can improve continuously.
Thank you so much, Kayla, for this, for sharing. And yes, and then my next question, Alberto, in terms of, I will start with you this time. In terms of results, like after getting certified, do you see if there was any direct results for the Impact Hub that you relate directly on becoming certified for your beneficiaries, for your community? How was the impact in that sense?
Well, the impact, it is in many ways. I think there is an image impact, notoriety impact, because B Corp certification is something to be proud of, and it's on the culture of the company. If you visit a business that is certified, you will see the B everywhere. You know, it's something to be proud of. Usually, right in the door. So if you email me and I mail you back, you will see along Impact Hub Madrid's logo in my firm, my signature, there is the V Corp. It's something that we use it all the time, and also, as Natalie said before, it is great to see other companies that are also B Corp, and business and collaboration is definitely easier. This is another advantage. But I wanted to say that overall, we are very used to, in this network, to speak about impact. Actually, it's in our very name. And the first impact we should do is in ourselves. This is the first radio, you know, to be transparent, to have good payrolls, I mean, like it's very difficult to create impact outside you if you are not creating impact first inside. And to do that, you have to face several questions that usually are very difficult to face, but difficult things usually are the best ones to grow, spiritually and in terms of business also. So to me, face this certification and this process, it is also a very good way to improve internally, not just in terms of communication, business. That also it is obviously useful.
Thank you, Alberto. Natalie, do you want to add something from Madrid side?
A couple of things. We also have benefit because we host B Corp events in our venues. We are allies, and many people of the team have been trained as B Corp it's called multiplicators. So in our projects, we have been able to work with other companies outside our impact world to understand, to start this B Corp process, which, as Alberto has said, first is a inner reflection process. You have to reflect on who you are, what you do, how do you do it, and just that is wonderful. It's like therapy, but for companies. So that I wanted to add.
Thank you, Natalie. You bring the best analogies. I love the best analogies. I love it. Kayla, what was the impact, the results that you see in Impact Hub Caracas?
Well, since we got the B Corp certification, we seen several benefits, important benefits. Our B Corp status has boosted our reputation in the market and attracting partners and clients who value our commitment to the triple impact. And this strict standard of B Corp certification promotes a culture of continuous improvement and pushing us to regularly access to engage our impact initiative. And I think for the beneficiaries, we can connect them with more resources, tools, and networks to help them grow and be more sustainable.
Thank you so much, everybody, for your answers. And I'm already looking into the chat, and I'll invite everybody, if you have any questions for them, please add to the chat, add to the Q&A page as well, so we can share. But Emma shared from her perspective that she's a little bit skeptical. I don't know how to say this word in English. You see, but anyway, it's in the chat about the B Corp process, and it's a club and a movement for sure, but isn't it too elitist? So this is a question from Emma, and I'm curious to hear your perspective. Yes, because I know, of course, there is a cost in regards getting certified, right? But not only financially, to have the time as well to invest and the improvement and all of it. Of course, there is a cost involved on it, on the process. But I'd love to hear from you. And maybe Maria, do you want to start and share a little bit from, because for the Excellence Framework, there was so much research going on. And maybe you want to share about your perspective in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the main decision actually to use B Corp, it's because, as I said before, you don't need to go through the certification, right? So right now you can go on the B Corp page and you can start your assessment. It's free, and you would get your calculation and so on. So you can start looking at this. So the idea is also because we do have about 10 to 12 impact hubs in the network who are already B Corp certified. So it's something that the network kind of validated as well. We compare like the SDPI framework. It's good, but it doesn't look at the business, right? So the SDPI framework is more to look at the advancement of how sustainable you're becoming, how much you're saving, it's like about your progress towards the SDGs. But it doesn't look at the health of the business, and that's why we actually chose the B Corp after analyzing analyzing some of the tools in the market. It's because, one, it's free, so anyone can do the assessment, and with that, just doing the assessment, we can start benchmarking impact hubs. so we don't need to go to the process. And of course, if you are later on your journey and you are Impact Hub who's striving, who see the importance on your market to actually get the certification itself, and it's up to that Impact Hub. But for us as a network, to have that benchmark, to speak the same language, we can start doing this straight away for free. So anyone can go there and check. Like if you haven't, I invite you to go and check it out. So maybe you can start looking at your Impact Hub and see how you score. You might be curious about this. So I was looking at us and kind of doing for company as well, and trying to understand. And yeah, so I think that was the rationale, and we thought that was the most complete in that sense, that look at it. But again, we do have our own kind of particularities that we said about community, about our governance, and so on, that we would create other criteria to measure that. And we thought that would be better, yeah, to have one thing for all, instead of having, because regionally there are different frameworks and different certifications every country of the world. But the B Corp is a global movement as well. And we do have Impact Hub in all regions of the globe who are certified. So then it means that it can work for everybody. So we do have Impact Hubs in Latin America, like Impact Hub Caracas. We do have Impact Hub Taipei. We do have other Impact Hubs here in Europe. We don't have any in Africa yet, maybe Harare. But we feel that that is possible for everybody also to achieve. So that was the rationale of choosing it. And I encourage everybody to go and start checking, having a look, and maybe start that kind of comparison with your neighbor, with someone in your country or in your region, to understand how you score. And there's also good practices, like, okay, the salary of the lead person cannot be, I don't know, 8 times bigger than the lowest salary. So is that something you can already improve? Or, like, there are some things that you kind of open your eyes as well when you start looking at it.
Thank you, Maria. And maybe connected, please feel free to add to that question in regards to being elitist or not, the process. Feel free to add. But I would also ask you, in the process of becoming B Corp certified, how was your community reaction as well, right? It was a collective decision. It was a team decision. Also, like, how was this decision-making process in that sense, and the interaction with the community you already have in place to move forward? Just a question that came to my mind, and I would love to hear from you.
I want to add to the elitist perception. I think even the B Corp world movement thinks that it's time to change, and they're having a process right now. It started like 2 or 3 weeks ago, where they are rethinking the certification process. They are thinking how to measure. We only measure positive impact, how to measure risk and negative impacts, and put it into the framework, and also make it easier to do give all the evidence, and because it's in their best interest and in our best interest that we have more big companies in the world. So when you make it easier, the process, so you have more people that can rethink what they're doing, rethink their business, and transform it. So B Corp worldwide is in that process, and I know it because last week we had B Corp Spain talking about this. And the community, when we started a process, we got help from we hired a consultant, which was part of the community, to help us. And then she was hired and became part of the team, because we had to design all these processes. So we had the community involvement. We were able to create employment with this. During the next years, it has been less involvement, direct involvement with the community, but it is a very good thing that you have pointed out, because I think we have to bring them more in this process. So that's a great point.
Thank you, Natalie. And Kayla, on your side, how was the involvement of community members, partners?
See, yes, in our side, this decision start with the team to uh, achieve this certification, and then the members and the clients, of course, help us to obtain to in the same line to obtain this certification also.
Nice, nice. Thank you for sharing. And I see that there are some people sharing, Tatiana and Grace sharing about that it would be good to actually make the assessment as Impact Hub. So as Maria proposing, it's for free just to do the first assessment. So it's a why not, right? If the score is very low, it's then it's maybe a part of attention to look why it's so low. Maybe some things that we have in mind that it's all set, that we are working for, maybe we have that in mind, but if we look around and if we look to the standards, maybe we still need to some work to do. So that's why it's also nice. And also Tatiana pointed out that many impact hubs are engaged with and hosting workshops, collaborating with B-Lab in their countries, which is very true. So yes, it's accessible in that way, right? And then Maria, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add, because when we are looking at it, why we looked at something that is also recognized externally, because as we said, you can go or not to the certification process. It's more for us to compare ourselves. But then if you go to, imagine that we have this internally only for Impact Hub Network, and this is not a recognized tool externally. So you would go through all this process only to comply with the network. I think that was not like the best motivation for it. So when we actually have something that we can compare, and then you can, pursue the certification later on, and it's the same with the SDPI framework, is something that is recognized by the market, and our decision was it was really that it's like, okay, let's look at something that's useful for us, that has our values, that measure the things that we want Impact Hubs to be really good, to walk the talk, being a social enterprise, but it's also something that the Impact Hubs can be using externally for themselves, instead of being something that is just to do an internal comparison. So we looked at this as well to add value for your operations and to help you to become more excellent.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Maria. And it's very much connected to my last questions that I will actually direct it to you, Maria. But I first want to say thank you so much for Kayla, Natalie, and Roberto for joining us for this panel and sharing your experiences. Thank you so much. It was really, really nice to hear you today. And Maria, in Patricia's session before about data, she said it's important always to have the end in mind, right? And you need to remind about the end. And I guess from the process, from the B Corp, from Natalie, Kayla, Alberto, when you were in the process, it is a long process to get B Corp certified. You needed to have the end in your minds all the time, otherwise you would give up on the way. And maybe for the excellence framework in the future, we always gonna need to have the end in mind as an impact hub, right? Because it's not gonna be an easy, process to have a framework, lots of indicators, the certification, external certification, but this will take us somewhere. And Maria, remind us about the end then in a few years from now. What is the end we should have in mind when we start implementing the excellence framework?
I think it's a healthier network, right? So that we all Impact Hubs could, but the main goal, the really main goal, is being able to walk the talk, right? We are social enterprises, and we are here teaching the word and teaching many, many entrepreneurs how to make their business more sustainable, more inclusive, and build social business. And we also need to do it, right? We also need to walk the talk, because we need to go through some certain experience, for instance, before we could teach people and stuff. So how the end is to better serve our entrepreneurs, in the end of the day. Because if we go through this process and we know how hard it is sometimes in certain contexts, in certain markets, to actually think about sustainability, to think about DEI, to think about human rights and all of that, then you actually can be in a better position to advise entrepreneurs of how to be better business. So it's better business for a better world. So
amazing. Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you, Alberto, Kayla, Natalie. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining the session. I don't see any other questions in the chat. So I'll think I will give you 5 minutes, 4 minutes back as a break before the next session. Grace has just shared a material with us in the chat. So we highly encourage you to share the materials you have, share links, share resources. That's why one of the reasons we are here for, right? To exchange, learn together. And stay tuned for the next session. Enjoy the Makers Festival. Thank you, everybody. Take
thank you,
care.
everybody.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.